Hey folks, Brian, we got to play RQG last night. Dragon of Thunder Hills. We're continuing from the GM's pack. Um, they inadvertently upset her sufficiently that she changed into a dragon and attacked. Um, and that's where we started. Now, there is a 15-minute play in the live play in the description. So I was messing with my audio capture. It was just in a previous game. It was just capturing everybody else's voice, but not mine. I don't get how that happened. So I was messing with the settings, and it was capturing mine now because I could see it on the thing, right? And so about 15 minutes into actual gameplay, I realized it's not capturing everybody else's voice. So I stopped it, tried to fix it, but then I failed to actually re start recording again. So I lost the rest of the game session. So there's a little peel in there about what we're talking about. Well, I'm discussing what happened previously and how we got going where we are, what she's doing, that kind of thing. So, and prior to that, before we started recording, one of my players was late and says it's combat. We kind of wait for him. Um, we had discussions. They were talking about. What were they talking about? They're talking about the dragon and oh, the fear dragon's passion. How that really works. What are the effects and that sort of thing. And if I want to reduce my fear passion, how do I do that? Because if I make a successful, which gives me a check that's supposed to go up, right? So kind of if you want to reduce and you miss, then we'll create as a check to decrease. That's how we're doing it. And of course, if you make your fear passion, you're going to be afraid. If you make a special, then you're going to be even more afraid. And if you're critical, you lose control, kind of thing, right? And there's a comment in the Glorantha book, the RQG book about um, like freaking out and attacking kind of thing. And I cannot fathom unless of course you're in a corner. If you're cornered, by all means, it's going to happen. Otherwise, it's out of there. Um, so Miriam failed her passion, so she's not afraid. Davin made his passion roll, so he's afraid, but he's got this huge shield. So okay, he's going to duck down and hide until he get control of himself, kind of thing, right? And he has a sorcery spell, logical mind or something like that, that immunizes is the word they use to emotion affecting things, right? And so there's a quick discussion. Okay, what do I interpret immunize as? And it says for the duration of the spell. So if you're being affected by something and you're able to cast the spell, and the spell is a come spell is cast correctly, my interpretation is okay. At that point, your logical mind takes over and it's not affecting you anymore. So it's not like it has to be cast beforehand, like you have to have it running, which is kind of weird because it talks about you can't use any passions, runes, etc. while you're in this state, right? So he's trying to cast that, and there's a quick discussion about sorcery because sorcery is slow. It takes a whole melee round plus your dex strike rank plus any additional magic points. Um, and Irvana failed her passion roll too, I believe, and so she's kind of backing off and staying out of the way. Now, uh, the GM book. Okay, this is a spoilers part. The GM book talks about Erasm storms. What she would do, right? First, she's going to breathe the poisonous gas, but she's not going to breathe fire because that would damage the interior of the place, and then it's her place. So I do that. Now, it talks about after that. Well, then she then closes, so she goes into the mainly combat. She's actually right there anyway, so But there's a couple things about this. Now, the poisonous breath, it says a jet of poisonous gas, 1 meter wide, 15 meters long, right? I think she's going to be able to hit a cone that's all of her front hexes kind of thing, right? And so we're using owlbear, and they've got these cone-shaped things on there. So I pulled one out, tried to arrange it so it was at first trying to do it long enough, right? But then the dimensions, you can't adjust the dimensions as a set isosceles, no, equilateral. It's a set equilateral triangles. You can't really stretch it or anything, just make it bigger or smaller. So I didn't worry about the end piece because they're all pretty close anyway. But it's about, is it wide enough at her head because she's a 4 hex creature, um, that it's hitting those hexes at her front hexes, and everybody in her front hexes is going to be affected. So I made some adjustments and I hid it so they can't see it because that's what she's going to do. Um, and we go through all the statements that what everybody's planning on doing. And so she's getting slowed by Irvana, which increases her dex, not dex, well, it does. It increases her strike rank for her effects and halves her movement. And that gets kind of confusing because later on we're dealing with spirits and stuff too, going, okay, if you've got people, movement 12, or movement 8 rather, if you get slow, this means your movement is now 4, but you can still go at, strike rank 1, go 3 hexes, 2, but at 4 strike ranks, that's as far as you can go. Or is it still 8, but instead of 3 meters, it's a meter and a half? You see what I'm getting? So if somebody doubles your speed, 8 becomes 16, but there's only 12 strike ranks in a round. So yeah, it gets kind of funky. And the spirits travel at their power. So instead of having a movement of 8, if it's got a power of 12, it's moving at 12. Was that just 12 strike ranks? Or is that 4 meters, a third more, a strike rank? See, because it used to be RQ3, spirit moved at its power, but human movement was 3, right? And so the spirit's moving at 12. That's 4 times as fast, and so every strike rank they move 12, kind of thing. So they fly around. Now I'm gonna have to think on that and how I'm going to interpret stuff for that piece of it. Okay, so I set up the cone. It launches. There's some prep spells going off in this first round, and Jarstakos moves forward and he asks about the bag of wind, and we all look at him going, "You've got the bag of wind." So there's a little minor retcon there where he's not moving to attack. He's opening up the bag, um, and he does have. Well, he's thinking it's an air elemental, and it is. So he's thinking he has to control air elementals. So he's asking how big it is because he can only control a certain size. But this is designed and that control cult spirit is what you need, and everybody's got that. And so there's no issue on the size here, and it's a medium, just for everybody's in case you're wondering. And in my world, my Glorantha, I've equalized. I don't want to say balanced, but I've equalized elemental manifestations. So all of my medium-sized elementals are 3 hexes, right? And then they're 3 hexes tall or deep kind of thing, right? Air elemental 3 hexes now. It talks about air elementals lift you up and throw you down. Well, they don't really. The way I interpret it is to get the distance for the is they throw you up, and the bigger they are, the higher they can throw you. So it all works out. Um, So the air elemental, 3 hex. He lets it out. He does his control cult spirits successfully, and so he moves it onto the head of the dragon kind of thing, right? Because that'll then disperse, everything being coned out in front of her, except for around the edges maybe. And so I think it's Arestra's on the edge, so I give her a dex saving throw to kind of dodge out of the way kind of thing, and she was successful. Now I was thinking that the dragon is casting rune magic as spirit magic, but it costs twice as much, and there's actually 6 of them. So I was thinking if she did, multi spell 5, then she could cast Demoralize on everybody every round, and that's what I think the dragon would do. However, that's 10 magic points to cast the multi spell, plus 10 magic points every time she's casting the 5 Demoralizes. She doesn't have that many magic points. She's not gonna be able to do that. So I just kind of tossed it away. And in the back of my head, thinking, okay, maybe she'll throw Demoralize at somebody at some point. And there's some attacks. So Juchi has the javelin and the spear. He throws the javelin, then he readies the spear. Javelin flies around. During the combat, there's like one, two, four times I think. Oh, we had 6 melee rounds, but he was out for one. So 5 times the javelin is striking at the dragon, and it hit twice, and did enough points of damage to do actually some damage to it. And then Rustra's kind of holding the shield, trying to distract the dragon and making sure David is protected. And David's just sitting behind the shield trying to cast his spell. It took him like 3 or 4 times to try to get it before it actually came off. In fact, at the end, when it did come off, it was after Irvana cast Glamour on him to increase his charisma, which gives him a bonus to his magic skill bonus. So uh, metagaming, yeah, because they were actually discussing that. What can we do to you to increase your thing? That's what I'm thinking. That's something they may have discussed previously. When you're working with a sorcerer, what can we do to help you with your sorcery? Because we know that unless you have lots of prep time, it's hard. So I had no issues, rationalizing that piece in there. Let's see. So Jarstakos comes forward. He does some attacking, and there's no dodge for the dragon. Um, But it's a dragon. It's got claws like spears, right? Teeth like swords. So okay, I'll let it parry with its claw, and it got a critical parry twice on that Corf. Um, and in the standard Matrix rules as written, you can inflict all of the damage into the weapon over its hit points, to break it in one round kind of thing. And I just don't like. I don't see that happening. Maybe I'm not cinematic enough. I don't know, but yeah. So I've changed that earlier to it doesn't matter as long as it goes over. You take a point of damage. It takes a point of damage. It takes a point of damage. But there is a situation like we ran into last night where um, you make your attack, but you get critical parried. And the critical parry gives you a special attack. And so what I did is that special damage then is applied to the weapon. So 1 point of damage plus the extra, slashing with the claw, so it's an extra d6. So it did some damage to his sword, his Corf. Um, because otherwise it's doing 676 on a slash because of his strength bonus, right? This thing's huge. So and I didn't want to do all that, and then there's a question of it. If it gets through, does it go to the person? I was thinking backwards and I got corrected on that. But hey, wait, why is he being hurt? He's attacking. You're just parrying. So yeah, just whack it out of the way and crack it up a bit. Okay, so that happens. Um, Haven finally gets successful on his thing. He stands up and he's trying to talk to the dragon. Miriam has been doing something with her 2 ghost spirits, right? Because the fetch has a ghost, one of the brew ghosts, and she has a brew ghost um, in her binding matrix. I'll call that in the binding matrix that she has, and they're like casting spirit screen on them and that kind of thing. Um, and there's some discussion about manifest because the fetch can cast on the spirit it has bound because they're both in the spirit world, spirit plane. What do you call it? Yeah, spirit world. So it's there, right? It can do things. But then, in order for the ghost to do something, it has to be released, right? But then it has to manifest. But a ghost can do that automatically. There's a little discussion too. You don't have to cast the visibility spell because ghosts can naturally manifest. So it would have to manifest, and then it could do spirit combat stuff. Um, but at the same time the fetch is doing that with that spirit, Miriam's got spirit up here in her binding matrix, casting spells on it, and I didn't look it up because I wasn't too worried about it. I recall that if you're casting spells on a spirit in a matrix, they don't even get a saving throw. Just as long as you're successful, it gets effective. Now, if you have a spirit in a spirit binding matrix, the binding matrix itself gives you the capacity to give it a command to do one thing and return. That's the limit, right? So you got a healing spirit, right? Go heal this person, and once they're healed, come back. And she tells the ghost to go engage the dragon in spirit combat and come back. And at the time, I didn't think about it, but the ghost, being an ass, could just go one round of spirit combat and then come back. Okay, I did. That kind of thing. But it's engages spirit combat. So we got spirit combat going on with the dragon. So the dragon has to make intelligence rolls to be doing its thing, for concentration deals, that kind of deal. And it's got an intelligence of 16, so it's making its rolls. And Josh Stakos has Earth Shield up on its thing, and so it hit the shield once, and okay, yeah, that's he's sucking up all the damage. Something else is going on, and so it's going. Spoiler: it's going to enthrall him. Now, the enthrall here is unique to this dragon. It's not like the enthrall that Adrema does in the quick start, and it's not like the enthrall of Daughters of Darkness either. So I'm not sure if they did that on purpose. Well, I'm certain they did it on purpose. They just didn't copy something else, which is it's kind of weak because this enthrall means that the victim cannot directly act against the dragon until attacked. I'm assuming attacked by the dragon, or the dragon uses its power on another victim. So it's a one. It's not a loitering. It's not one shot, one kill. It's not fire and forget. It's not fire and forget, right? It's fire and focus. So Dragon's doing that. That happens on 12. Spirit combat happens on 12, and some other things happen on 12, right? There's a bunch of stuff happen on 12 in this one round, right? So spirit combat happens. I gave the dragon a spirit combat skill of 90 based on its power of 18. The ghost has a spirit combat of 70 because ghosts have a spirit combat of 70. Um, but because this ghost has a huge power and a huge charisma, it does 2d6 plus 3 spirit combat damage. The dragon's got, big power and big charisma, but only does a d6 plus 3. So it's. I'm going to have to double check that. It's not that high. No, the dragon is fine, but the ghost, I have to check into that, see what's going on. But anyway, so 2 rounds of spirit combat is enough to drop the dragon down to negative in its magic point, so it goes unconscious, and the ghost possesses the dragon, because that's what happens, right? And then it occurs to me, the ghost is possessing the dragon. What's it going to do? It's going to tear. It's going to kill the party that killed it earlier, right? And then there's this. So, dragon slumps, and then its head raises up, eyes glowing red, and it looks around. It's getting ready to breathe. It's made around. It's going to breathe. And I actually did this backwards. I had it breathe gas, and then next round catch it on fire kind of thing when it should just breathe fire. But anyway, um, and so there's kind of a whole lot of questions. What's going on? Go engage the dragon spirit combat. Come back. Let's engage the spirit combat. It's one. This is going to do. It's going to, because that's the command. It's going to fight until either it wins or loses. But there was no. The way I interpret it, there's no time limit on returning. So it's got possession of this body. It's going to wreck these people apart, and eventually they'll go back. Is it playing word games? Probably. It's like playing with demons, because it's not like uh, a normal spirit, right? A plant spirit, an animal spirit, or a spell spirit, or those kinds of things that even well, if a spirit has intelligence, it's a little different. But a spirit without intelligence is just going to do its thing, right? But this is a ghost. It's got intelligence. It's got personality. It's got runes, right? It's a chaos ghost, and so it's got possession of this body. All of a sudden, and that's what hit me. It goes all of a sudden. It realizes because I realized, oh shit, I've got control of the body. I'm a dragon. Let's tear these people apart. So it breathes fire. No, um, it doesn't say under the thrall that she cannot do anything else, right? It just talks about the victim. Well, if you're attacking an enthralled victim, you get a plus 20%, which I think it should be much more than that. But that's what it is. Um, so she's doing other stuff. She's got him enthralled, but she's doing other stuff. Maybe it's semi-fire. I forget. That's interesting. Okay, but anyway, so she breathes fire. They've got Jarstego still has control of the elemental, moves the elemental in the way. Math, physics, the way things are going, most of it doesn't happen. But there's some of this around the edge kind of stuff. So I have Juji's pretty much outside the circle, but he's also outside the cone. So I just have to make an easy, Dex times 5 saving throw to get out of the way. Sure, he's not taking any damage because this gas is becoming fire, right? But there are Arestra and Irvana inside the whirl, the air elemental, right? Um, but we're talking about fire, right? Elemental fire, fire tornadoes, that kind of thing happens. But okay, still it's supposed to be a safe spot, so I make it a safe spot. Dex times 3 to get out of the way of the fire kind of stuff. And Irvana missed her roll, but because of the air, I give it like half damage kind of a thing, right? That's still 2d6 to each location. But she's only got like 1 point of armor or something, and so she's taking massive. She's like negative 33 when all is said and done. Crispy critter. So she goes for a divine intervention. We could kind of discuss because at first she said, blow this fire back at the dragon, but Ernal doesn't do that kind of thing. I was looking at rune spells to give us a feeling for the kind of things that Ernal could do. I did not check the associated cults though, although I did think about Orlanthan's shield. Um, because I was thinking, you know, save me. Earth Elemental sucks her down, but the damage has already occurred. But heal body, right? So she falls to the ground, crispy critter, and Nirvana does heal body. She's healed back, right? And I may have heal body wrong. So I think there's something about, yeah, I'll look it up later. But I think I may have made a miscall on that one. But anyway, so she not resurrected, but gets brought back. She's healed up. Um, there's some damage earlier. The dragon had shifted and stomped on Juchi. But Juchi must have missed with that spear attack. So we're talking about doing a spear attack, and somebody did ask about, well, can she set? Can he set for a charge? Well, a charge takes some movement, right, to actually set. This is just right crunch, but 5d6 damage to the chest will put you down, right? So that's why Vrana was up there. She ran up there. Should have had her make a fear dragons roll to come closer. Um, yeah, treat it like the fear spell from D&D. Try to stay or get further away. Interesting. Think about that. But anyway, so he got stomped on. Took less damage. That's why she came up. She did a cure wounds, healed him all up, and he got up and got out of the way. He's got his spear. He's trying to orient, so he's going to do a spear attack between Arestra and Davin. Um, but now the ghost has control because the ghost did the fire because the ghost doesn't care. And Juicy gets that spear attack, got it in the right foreleg, and because of the magic of the spear, the dragon armor doesn't count, and so all 9 points go into that location, puts the right foreleg down to negative, and brings his hit points down very well. So they hurt it really bad with that one. And then that is pretty much where we ended the session. I'm trying to think what else was going on, but I know there was a blank dead spot where Miriam's character and some of the other characters trying to figure out what's going on. Why can she not control it? Well, she gave it the command to engage the dragon spirit combat, come back. Is the engage spirit combat is one. It's going to do some stuff, and then it's going to go back. When it's done. Oh yeah, shoot. Well, maybe I could give it just this one round. It took possession. It gets to do a thing, and then it's going to go back because there is otherwise it's just going to fly away, and that's just not the intent of the spell or the binding. I know that. Ah, shoot. Okay. Well, I guess they just won. Happy gaming.